Hello everyone, this is Karen Fomafung, your Agile Evangelist, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the differences between the definition of ready and acceptance criteria. You know, as a Scrum Master, these are some of the most important best practices that you cannot not know. It is important that you have a good understanding of these things so that you can better help your teams become mature and be successful. I have also noticed that we have Scrum Masters that struggle with even understanding what this definition of ready is, what acceptance criteria is, and then I also find that sometimes they get it mixed up. They really don't understand the difference between definition of ready and acceptance criteria. So at the end of this video, you will have a good understanding of what a definition of ready is, what acceptance criteria is, the differences between the definition of ready and acceptance criteria, and where you come in, especially as a Scrum Master, to help your team leverage these best practices. So please stay tuned and watch till the end. As usual, if you have any contribution to make as we progress on this video, please go ahead and leverage that comment section to drop your thoughts, and so that we all can continuously learn and grow together. You already know this is the safest place where you can fail, learn, unlearn, relearn, and no one is judging you, because we are all here to continuously improve and refine our agile capabilities. Now let's go straight into the point. We're gonna first start by setting a definition of these two practices before we go ahead to talk about their differences. What is the definition of ready? I will define a definition of ready as a checklist that has been established by the team or the core Scrum team to guarantee that the work items are ready to get into the sprint backlog. That is what the definition of ready is. Again, it is a checklist of criteria that have been established by the core team to ensure that the work items that they are pulling into the sprints are ready to be worked on. And by the time they are done working on those items, it will be done correctly. For example, as a team, you want to come up with a checklist of criteria, and a typical example of a good go-to definition of ready will be the INVEST criteria. You know, the INVEST criteria is an acronym that stands for, I stands for independent, meaning that the work items are independent. N stands for negotiable. The items are individually negotiable. V stands for valuable. Every single item that are being pulled into the sprint should be able to deliver value to the end users. E stands for estimated. The work items are already estimated. S stands for small, meaning that the work items should be small enough to fit into these sprints, in the sense that they should be able to be completed within that sprint cadence, that sprint bucket. And then T stands for testable. The items that are being pulled into these sprints should be able to be tested. You know, because you don't want to deliver work items to customers when they've not been tested to ensure they are doing what they're supposed to do. So that would be a good go-to definition of ready for the team members, and then they can add other things like it meets the acceptance criteria and stuff like that, or it has acceptance criteria established, you know, and stuff like that. Yes, so that is a typical example of a definition of ready. Now, what is an acceptance criteria? An acceptance criteria is a checklist that has been defined and established by the product owner, for example, or any member of the team. And this information has to come from the customers. So in the process of the product owner or whoever has a good knowledge of that product the business analyst as well, sitting with the customers to elicit their requirements. As part of that process, they will have to determine criteria that they will have to establish, which they will be using to ensure that this work item is complete by the time they say they are done with working on that work on that particular work item. So that is what an acceptance criteria is. So in simpler terms, I would like you to see acceptance criteria as a checklist that has been defined per individual user stories that ensures the completeness of the work. That is what acceptance criteria is. And this acceptance criteria, it is related to individual user stories, which means that every individual user stories must have their own individual acceptance criteria. So it is really a checklist that teams will need to use to verify by the time they're working on an item, and for them to be sure that this work item is complete, they will be using this checklist of items. You can see the examples of a typical acceptance criteria right there on the screen. They will be using this checklist to verify that, okay, is this actually done? I'm thinking that this work is complete. Is it actually complete? So if they are able to check all these boxes as you see on the screen, then they can confidently call that user story complete. So that is what an acceptance criteria is. Now, let us talk about the differences between the definition of ready and acceptance criteria, even though the definitions between these two things already speak for itself. The definition of ready is usually established by the entire team. So the entire team comes together and then they create a definition of ready, a checklist of definition of ready, that they will be using. And the avenues that they will typically use this definition of ready, usually during backlog refinement sessions and sprint planning sessions. So team members will have to be familiar with this definition of ready, and as they are refining their work items, they have this definition of ready at the side, and then they will be looking at this definition of ready to ensure that, okay, this work item, is it actually ready to go into the sprints? Are we capable of working on this item, picking on this item, working on it and getting it done without keep going back and forth for open questions, for clarifications, for things like that, for details about the work items, for lack of understanding of the acceptance criteria, for mock-ups, for screenshots, for details regarding the work and things like that. And we are able to complete this work item within the sprints, and they'll be able to test it and it will be able to deliver value to the customer. So these are the kind of questions that team members will need to be asking, which is what we call the definition of ready. You see, so and this definition of ready is useful even before the sprint starts. So like I said, when you're doing your backlog refinement sessions, when you're doing your sprint planning sessions, as you're moving through your prioritized product backlog, before pulling any item into the sprint backlog, you have to make sure that it is ready to be worked on, and team members will be able to remain focused and complete that work to the best of your knowledge and ability. So that is what a definition of ready is for, and that is when it applies. Now, for an acceptance criteria, when it applies is even before team members get to backlog refinement sessions or sprint planning sessions, the acceptance criteria must have already been defined, especially by the product owner or whoever is collecting user stories specifications from the customers, like the business analyst, like the product owner, like any other person on the team that usually partner to go elicit work items or requirements from the customers. So in the process of doing that, part of the conversation that they'll be having with the customers is, okay, for you to say that this work item is complete to your satisfaction, what would be your acceptance criteria? What would be the criteria that you will be considering to be able to accept this work as complete? And then the customer will now, they will partner, and the customer, together with the customers, they will be able to establish what they consider as the acceptance criteria for every individual work item. And now once that acceptance criteria is defined, as a Scrum Master, you also want to be double checking with your PO to make sure that information is available. And then you can now connect during your backlog refinement sessions. Team members will be, as they are discussing, refining the user stories, the acceptance criteria are part of the things that they will be double checking to ensure that they actually have the skill set required to be able to check off all these boxes for the customers to be able to accept the work once they say that it is, or once they claim that it is complete. So that will be my simple definition of ready and acceptance criteria and the differences between the two of them. If you are looking to learn more, gain more, better understanding, and just that avenue to have a simplified understanding of anything Agile, best practices, Agile, Scrum concepts, Kanban concepts, you all may already know we offer fantastic Scrum Master training programs, and our next training is coming up on the 2nd of February. Enrollment is already ongoing and slots are filling up really fast. So please jump on the boat, and we'll be more than privileged to be part of your success story. If you're already in between being certified and landing a job, which is tough, that is the most difficult phase. And the reason is because so many people don't understand how to go about these things. We have a fantastic mentoring and coaching program, which is what we call our level 2. Please visit our website. You can see our contact information right up there. Visit our website and go through the programs and see which one will be best for you. Enroll, and we'll be more than happy to help you land that first dream job. If you're already in the field or on the field as a professional PO, Scrum Master, Release Train Engineer, Agile Coach, and you're struggling with your role, what we do is we're passionate about helping people, organizations, and teams to be successful with their Agile adoption and implementation. So contact us and enroll in one of our mentoring programs, and I'll be more than happy to assist you. If you're looking for resume services, LinkedIn services, please, we are at your service. Reach out, and again, we'll be so glad to help you. That's gonna be it for today. Thank you so much, and again, leverage that comment section to share your thoughts regarding this video. Have an amazing rest of your day. Bye.